Cloud computing is the on-demand delivery of IT resources via the internet, with pay-as-you-go pricing. Instead of buying, owning, and maintaining physical data centers and servers, you can access technology services such as computing power, storage, and databases on an as-needed basis from a cloud provider like Amazon Web Services. Organizations of every type, size, and industry are using the cloud for a wide variety of use cases, such as data backup, disaster recovery, email, virtual desktops, software development and testing, big data analytics, and customer-facing web applications. For example, healthcare companies are using the cloud to develop more personalized treatments for patients. Financial services companies are using the cloud to power real-time fraud detection and prevention. And video game makers are using the cloud to deliver online games to millions of players around the world. With cloud computing, your business can become more agile, reduce costs, instantly scale, and deploy globally in minutes. Cloud computing gives you instant access to a broad range of technologies so you can innovate faster and build nearly anything you can imagine. From infrastructure services such as compute, storage, and databases, to Internet of Things, machine learning, data analytics, and much more. You can deploy technology services in a matter of minutes and get from idea to implementation several orders of magnitude faster than before. This gives you the freedom to experiment and test new ideas to differentiate customer experiences and transform your business, such as adding machine learning and intelligence to your applications in order to personalize experiences for your customers and improve their engagement. You don't need to make large upfront investments in hardware and overpay for capacity you don't use. Instead, you can trade capital expense for variable expense and only pay for IT as you consume it. With cloud computing, you access resources from the cloud in real time, as they're needed. You can scale these resources up and down to grow or shrink capacity instantly as your business needs change. Cloud computing also makes it easy to expand to new regions and deploy globally in minutes. For example, Amazon Web Services has infrastructure all over the world, so you're able to deploy your application in multiple physical locations in just a few clicks. Putting applications in closer proximity to end users reduces latency and improves their experience. No matter your location, size, or industry, the cloud frees you from managing infrastructure and data centers so you can focus on what matters most to your business.
I'm originally from South Africa and used to work in the largest financial organization in the country. I had worked in server virtualization and migration technologies, eventually moving into a cloud platforms lead role. As I began to work in more managerial positions, I came to a point where I felt the pullback into a more technical role. I had the opportunity to interview with AWS in Dublin, and the rest, they say, is history. It was a big step to move overseas and back into a technical role after I've spent so many years in leadership, but it was exciting. Today, I'm a senior cloud architect in the Amazon Managed Services team, supporting several of our customers that make use of the managed services that we offer on top of the AWS platform. We develop patterns and designs, working with their architecture, development, and partner teams on DevOps integration, infrastructure, compliance, and operations. By helping my customers to run services more efficiently on the AWS platform, I indirectly assist them in responding to their customer needs, to be able to reduce cost and increase product offering to their customers in a shorter time. That is the most exciting part of my role, the limitless opportunities we have to work with customers to solve design and architectural challenges with AWS services.
Keeping your data secure. Secure is priority number one at AWS. We maintain compliance with recognized security standards across a multitude of industries and work with leading security vendors who specialize in advanced data protection solutions. Register for one of our upcoming webinars to learn how you can use AWS and its partners to make cloud security Job Zero.
I'm Ernest Koo. I'm President and CEO of Globe Telecom, the leading mobile operator in the Philippines. Well, Globe is a Tier 1 telco operator in the Philippines with both mobile and fixed line services, about $2.5 billion in revenue. The most important thing for Globe at the moment is to remain relevant to its base. Telcos today are becoming less relevant given the fact that we can be reduced to a pipe that consumers use to consume content. Right? For Globe, we want to provide the full lifestyle. We want to enable a Filipino digital lifestyle. And to do that, we have to continue innovating. The cloud actually gives us the ability to try out different things, given that innovation is a big push within the company. We can set up quickly, we can shut it down at little cost. Because really, it's a long tail effect at this stage in telco, right? We've got to try many products to figure out which one will work in the market. And if you do that in a traditional on-premise environment, I presume, and I think, and I'm sure of it, that the throwaway cost would be much higher than what we have today. Today, you actually practically have zero throwaway costs on hardware. You have to throw away your development cost, which could be a fraction of what the hardware could be. But it does add to our flexibility and our ability to innovate constantly. AWS was the dominant player, and is still the dominant player today. And in the Philippines, there are very few options. We also looked at the type of support they offered. And truly, I think what made the relationship a success was the fact that they provided the support during the initial stages of our move to the cloud, with regard to training, with regard to architectural support, with regard to promotion within the company, and so on. They actually got our people ready and prepared to move to the cloud. That was very, very significant in terms of our impetus to get our people to develop systems on the cloud itself. We run a wide variety of workloads in AWS, from portal applications, our let's say web portals, our online store are running on it, our self-service apps are running on it, even our content registration platform runs on it. We actually use the Amazon EC2 platform for computing, the Amazon RDS for relational database, and also the AWS Lambda, specifically most recently for our self-service application that we put on most phones. The AWS Cloud Service is available through Globe, through a connectivity agreement or through a services agreement. We're able to provide the same services that we use to our base, both the enterprise and SME category. The various benefits we've actually achieved in moving to the AWS platforms, particularly the AWS Cloud, we've seen an uptick in performance of the different applications we're running on them. For instance, the self-service app I mentioned running on AWS Lambda, we experienced a 2x move up in performance. We experienced zero downtime for those systems on AWS the past year. We've saved a cumulative amount of about $2 million on a per annum basis. And the procurement time, at Globe, like I said, given a big company like ourselves, 60 to 90 days wouldn't be unheard of in getting a PO through the system, whereas in a matter of days, you can have a VM set up and a system working on the AWS Cloud. Globe went from 32% market share to about 51.7% market share in the fourth quarter of 2016, and now has become the leading mobile operator in the Philippines. It's kind of odd that despite the fact that this computing power is so far away, right, we get a better response on our systems compared to something on-premise here in the Philippines. We truly like working with AWS because we're not treated as a mere customer. It's more than that. It's a deeper relationship. They truly have our interest in mind. And not many IT companies today or tech companies have that.
Medyo scary, no? In choosing a school, a course, or a career path, there is so much to explore. But that's why we're here. Don't know where to start? Mag-browse ka muna sa blog namin. Baka ma-inspire ka sa mga student advice, study hacks, and adulting guides. Meron kami niyan dito. Or learn about career paths that match your skills and interests. Or chat with us. Tanong mo lang, we'll point you in the right direction. O let's say may dream school ka na. You can search for it and learn more about their programs and scholarships. At kung di ka pa decided, don't worry. Search and compare different schools to fit your needs. Pag ready ka na, submit an application. Easy. Maybe you're looking for a new hobby, certification, or degree? We've got online courses for that, and the learning doesn't stop there. Join a quest and pick something up with each visit through articles or videos. And the best part, you get to earn coins and redeem real rewards. Kaya sali na! With the right tools and information, we can find the best opportunities for you. Because the future can be scary. Pero tiwala lang. Keep exploring, keep learning with Edukasyon.ph.
Hello everyone, and good evening. How are you, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao? We're here again for another episode of Community Ignite series. I am Rose, your project and community manager here at Edukasyon.ph. I hope everyone are safe in the comfort of your home, and I hope your family also are feeling well, no? Especially from the new variant of COVID, which is Omicron. So stay safe, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight for again another learning session. So what is Community Ignite series? For those who just attended the first time, Community Ignite series brought to you by AWS Club, which is our Thursday short episodes where we bring people, products, and purpose together so that our IT young professionals or early in the career in the IT industry will learn more and upskill, especially with our AWS technologies. So this Community Ignite series is co-presented by Amazon Web Services and AWS Club Pilipinas. So guys, make sure that you follow our social media pages to stay updated with our topics. No, not just every Thursday, but we also have other user group led events. So make sure to follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and even on TikTok. Ayan. Ayan, by the way, to those who joined us last week and again today, we apologize that we were not able to admit everyone in the Zoom room. But tonight, we made sure that we have enough capacity to accommodate everyone in our online learning session. So last week, our speaker from AWS, Mr. Rom Gapos, talked about the beginner's journey on data analytics on AWS. Sige nga, type nga kayo dyan ng 1 if you were there, if you were in the session with Rom. Yes, this session is recorded. Wow, ang dami. We have 100 attendees in the last session, and now we have 86 in the room already. Yay, thank you. And we have 300 sign-ups, or 250. But yeah, I hope that we have a high turnout for this evening. No, I hope we can reach more than 100 because we prepared more than 100 capacity for our Zoom. Okay, so tonight another beginner's topic will be brought to us by our returning speaker, our imported speaker, who would be talking about the journey to becoming a cloud architect. So sino ba dito ang gusto maging solutions architect? Please type SA on the chat. Solutions architect, do you have any idea? Okay, wow, ang dami. Si Acho, si Claudio, Nico, Julius. Ako din, gusto ko din maging solutions architect. Ayan. Wow, ang dami nila. Ayan. For our speaker, yes, be ready. Be ready to learn from our speaker. All right, so without further ado, let me introduce our speaker tonight. He has been in the information communications technology and operational technology domains for more than 25 years in various leadership roles with various enterprises and systems engineering, data center and network operations, information security, and solutions architecture. He is engaged with CXOs, operations, corporate strategy, and IT of customers and partners with portfolios of end-to-end digital and enterprise solutions and technologies, covering mid to large-scale business applications, operations, and infrastructure across various areas. So bigatin itong speaker natin ngayon, ha? Kalain mo, he is an SA for mid to large-scale business applications. So hindi basta-basta to. So everyone, please help me welcome and let's give a virtual round of applause to our solutions architect, Paul Sears.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for that wonderful
Hello,
introduction.
Paul. Hello. How are you, Paul?
I'm good. Thank you. I appreciate the warm introduction. It's always great doing these talks with you and everybody attending. It's really fun, and I enjoy and I love giving back to the community and to help people with their journeys and in their careers, either technology-wise or in this case tonight, it's more around soft skills, but things to help guide you on your path and lessons that I learned through my long journey. Every time you keep saying I'm 25 years in industry, actually longer than that, I feel so old. I mean, I know I'm old, but it's like I get reminded how old I am. So yes, I feel young when I work with everybody here, but I'm actually old. So.
That's fine. That's okay, Paul. So that the topic sounds awesome and very interesting. All right. So that we have enough time to hear from you. So I'll turn over the floor to you, Paul.
Great. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. Okay. Sharing my screen. Okay. So a little background on this talk. I actually gave this talk the first time for Y4IT conference at UP Diliman. We did it back in, I want to say 2019, it might have been even 18, but it was for a very large crowd. I was very involved with the SIG Lab program in the Philippines back when we first started it up here. We did some cloud skills training to large audiences. We did 600 or so at SM Aura one time, and we had 2,700 students and stuff part of Y4IT at this session way back long before the pandemic started. So it feels like forever ago, but this was a little different approach. So we have a lot of talks on technical skills, things you can do to improve your knowledge around technology, you know, languages and architecture and security and all the things that are very important to know and learn. But one thing I kind of over my observations working with customers and working with students for many years, I saw a kind of a trend, and I see it actually fairly relevant here in the Philippines with the culture and the way people, young professionals interact with their careers. Just for a little more background on me, I've been with AWS going on 6 years. It'll be 6 years in April. I've been in the Philippines, based here since 2019, so I'm on my 3rd year. I am actually based in Manila, and I am an SA working with right now, I first started out with enterprise customers in Philippines, but now I'm working with a lot of small and medium businesses, and plus I do a lot of community activities as well. Really enjoy this aspect of this. I love the talk. I can talk forever. So please also bear with me. While I've been here for 3 years, I know I can listen to Tagalog, but I can't really speak very much. So my talk will be in English. Hopefully my English will be at a pace that will be okay for everybody who are joining us today. So as I mentioned, this talk is really around what I've kind of learned through my career in IT. Before I let me go ahead and go to the first slide here. I think it'd be the first intro into this. So when I first started out, I graduated university a long time ago. I became a system administrator, the first kind of SA, a long time ago. And I worked on Unix-based systems, but I worked for an engineering lab at a college for many years. And so that's where my journey started there. And I had exposure with a large number of systems, and I worked on running this environment, servers for the college and managing and those kind of things, standard system administrator type activities. And then over my career, I advanced in my career path and the internet was, this was actually when I first doing my career, I was before the internet was big. This was back in the early 90s. And then internet started growing and I started getting involved in companies that were in the .com boom, startup boom in late 1990s, early 2000s. And that was my introduction really into this whole evolution of journey. But I was really an SA for a long time. It wasn't until around maybe 2003 or 4 that I started to cover a larger base where because when you do SA work, system administrator work, not solution architect work, but system administrator work, you end up doing a lot of things that cover a broad base, including network technologies, learning how to configure and manage routers and firewalls. A lot of times you work for companies where you do a lot of functions in one job, at least in the US, that was the case. When you're working for a startup, you do everything, right? You're the one man shop, so one person shop, so to say. And so you have to learn a lot of skills. I end up handling security and all these aspects. So then I moved up eventually through manager and into director level roles and ran teams. And up until around 2014, I was running large data centers, thousands and thousands of servers in multiple locations in the world, and operations teams of 10 to 20 people worldwide and such. And then I got into architecture because I realized that as we saw earlier in one of these pre videos, where the person who's an SA now for AWS was in a management role, wanted to go back to a more of an individual contributor role and more of a tech focused role. I felt the same thing. There's a point where I didn't want to manage people anymore. I wanted to get back into technology. So I evolved into a architecture role, and I was an infrastructure architecture, basically taking all my skills as an SA system administrator and applying them into managing infrastructure on a larger viewpoint, like 3 years out in projects, and working with DevOps teams, and managing all that process and look in the forward direction, reporting to the CIO level of the organization. So it was a big step up. And then I got drawn in AWS, which was a natural progression. And I have to say, I've been there for almost 6 years, and this has been the best job I've ever had in my entire life. So let me talk about this whole why we're here and these soft skills. I think these are very important to think about. Amazon has a set of leadership principles. We have set of 14 leadership principles. Actually, it might be 16 now. I think we added a few more. But these are the core of the culture of Amazon. And every company has a culture. And it's very important for you to understand the culture of your company, what the goals are, the objectives, the principles of the company, and figure out how you can work with those principles and how you can excel and grow and succeed under those principles. So you're starting here, you're starting somewhere. Maybe you're just out of school, maybe you're a brand new solutions architect, and maybe you're looking into becoming a solutions architect. Maybe you are not even in a technology role and you're interested in technology. You're starting somewhere, right? And you want to go, in this case, maybe you want to go into AWS or a cloud or something like that. So this is not really AWS specific, but I think the topics that I'm picking from here align with what AWS looks for in candidates for roles in AWS, the characteristics that they look for. And obviously, when you're figuring out where you want to go, so you kind of plan out your long-term objective. Which path do you take? How do you get there? How do you get from where you started to where you want to be? Do you want to be CIO? Do you want to be a senior architect? What do you want to do? Do you want to run your own company? So you're gonna have to define your path. You're going to have to figure out your path, and you can change direction many times. You can actually try different things. Like I said, I've been in the trenches, operations, and then I moved in architecture, and I've even done a little bit of marketing. I've done consulting, so all over the place on this. I still do technology right now, but someday maybe I might do something else besides technology. So you have some paths you can choose in technology. Maybe you are more of a hardware person. Maybe you like, this is something you do. You build your own PCs. You are good with configuring the infrastructure at a hardware level. Maybe you work for in a data center now and you build your servers and all those things, right? So that could be one path. Or maybe you're in the software side. Maybe you like to code and you build applications, and maybe you write games, those kind of things, right? So you have different branches you can take, and why not both? Why can't you do hardware and software, right? So you can in these days, especially with cloud computing, especially with the evolution, the convergence of hardware and software in technology these days, is very easy to do that. But it's more than just technology. It's going to be your technology skills, but also it's going to be your background, your and soft skills, things that are going to help you develop your career, because this whole talk here is focused on what you should be focusing on outside of just learning the latest language or learning how to build a server. Okay, so these are some lessons that I have learned along my journey, and these are something that I thought really hard about when I first was doing this talk. I really had to give a lot of thought to how I was going to inspire and how I was going to to motivate students to maybe see a different perspective than what they're used to, because especially talking to 2,700 Filipino students, they have a certain culture they've adopted and a certain way of doing things. And when you're in technology, especially younger technology companies, culture does change a little bit. And so I wanted to give you some idea about maybe how you can do things. And the first thing is, you need to own your journey. So your career is your career, nobody else's, and you're going to go as far as you want as long as you own it. And so this is very important. In fact, in AWS, we have our manager will help work with us and constantly engage with us about what our career choices are, our paths might be, and figure out how to get to where we want to go. But it's still our journey, my own personal journey from where I got to where I am now, where you are now, where you want to be. It's going to be something you need to own. So ownership is very important. Okay. And the next thing is you need to build your brand. This is actually very, very important, where you need to figure out a way that you stand out in the crowd. What unique skills do you bring, or what unique characteristics, or what's unique about you that you bring to any organization that you're going to join or lead or company you're going to build yourself. This also applies to things such as even marketing, how you do that. You build a brand, and the brand is very, very important. This is going to be something you do. So you want to work on your brand. You want to have characteristics that your teammates and your management, your leadership, they understand what your brand is. They know that you're known for this and you do this, and you keep building that. And it's something that you don't stop doing. It's something you always continuously evolve, right? So what makes you you? How does it make you? How do you bring yourself to the organization at the best you can, the fullest you can? Okay. And then part of this journey also is finding your spark. What is your passion? Because I remember when I started out in operations as a system administrator a long, long time ago, I loved working for the university. It was great. It wasn't super stressful, and it wasn't the best pay, but it was a good job. I had a lot of experience, and I really enjoyed it. But then I had opportunity to join a market data company, a financial services company in the US that was managing a large amount of funds. And I jumped into the fire. It was a triple increase in my salary, but it was also probably a 10 times increase in my stress. After 2 years in that role as an SA managing real-time market data systems, and the expectations of the company, and that they were down, they would lose millions of dollars a minute, those kind of things, it was super hard and super stressful, and you burn out quickly. So you want to find the spark that makes it good for you and what your passion is. And you may have to find many different sparks. You may try one thing and maybe you burn out on one thing, you try something else, but you don't give up. You keep trying to invent and discover and find your passion, right? You got to make sure that's what's driving you forward. It's your career is more than just about money for most people. You're going to find you're ultimately have a higher satisfaction when you love what you do, and when you love what you're doing, why you're doing it. When I was working at AWS, I worked for partners, but I had opportunity to get involved with AWS Educate, which is why I was doing this talk many years ago in the Philippines for SICLab. I have a huge passion for for working with students and trying to helping them find their sparks. And I love that. So that was a part about my job that I really enjoyed. I was able to travel the world with my teams and do different events and speak to technology students and young professionals and really listen to them and learn and also give back. And that was something my passion. So I still try to retain that, even though I'm doing an SA role, a solution architect role. I love my role, but this is my passion. What I'm doing here, giving to the community, this is what I really love to do. Okay, so find your spark. Second thing is learn and be curious. This is actually a leadership principle in AWS. You never stop your learning. You always continuously grow. When you've learned everything, then you're no longer able to really give back more to the area you're focused on. Maybe you should try something different. But I learn every day. When I work with my customers, I learn new things that I didn't even expect or even wasn't aware of. I mean, yeah, it's just really interesting to see how different organizations and different leaders and different technology individuals solve problems they're facing, and I always learn from that. And part of being a solution architect is also learning how to expand on that, so that the next time I have a conversation with a customer who had something similar, I can relate to them and help them solve their problems, and maybe even give them new insights that they didn't consider previously. Okay. The next one, this is also another leadership principle, AWS, dive deep. And what we mean, so in my role as a solution architect in AWS, I have a wide breadth of knowledge. I have to know fairly, at least at a conversational and at least on a normal technology level, a large number of services, because I never know what my customers are going to need, what they want to use, and such. But I also have a set of services and domains in technology that I dive deep into, that I become an expert on. And this is part around my passion. So for example, we have this framework in AWS called Well Architected. It's about how to implement best practices to help your workloads, your organization operate in a way that is secure and has optimal operations and resilient and performant and cost optimized. And I'm an expert in that in terms of those best practices and how to implement those on an AWS environment for customers. And actually those practices are not really so much technology based, they're more about process and people and just education, right? So I'm really good at giving back with that. And I understand how to take a customer's environments and apply these best practices to those environments. So that's where I have dove deep into. You dive deep. So you want to learn a lot, know a lot of things, technology, but you also want to have a few areas where you can go really deep on, because maybe those are your passion areas that you want to focus on. Okay, another thing that I think is also very important, and this is something I see a lot of, especially when I first started out too, is you don't want to be afraid to fail. Now, I've worked for companies in the past where you were punished for failure, and it's a very intimidating place to be. It's not, it really kind of crushes your passion. You lose your spark. So as I mentioned before, it's not just about the money for a job. It's also about what you want to do and that you fit into the culture of that organization. Can you give them what they're expecting, and do they give you back what you're expecting? Because when you interview for a job, it's a two-way street. You're also interviewing that company to see if that culture is a fit for what you like. And I see this a lot, where a lot of young professionals, recent college grads, just out of university and have not really had a whole lot of experience in the field, are very timid. They're very shy to take chances, to experiment. They may even can offer good suggestions in a meeting or a project, but are too afraid to speak up, because maybe they think they're going to be wrong, and because they're not senior enough to really do so. And I'm asking you in your career is to challenge that. You want to obviously be respectful, but at the same time, don't be afraid to take risks. AWS is a great organization where we do what's called pivoting, and we don't really penalize the failure. Now, if you have the same failure over and over again without any kind of learnings, that's a whole different discussion. That's not taking chances. That's really making bad decisions. But we will pivot. We will change our direction many times. And even Amazon, as an organization, as a company, has had failures, pretty spectacular failures in the world market. For example, if you may not know this or not, we actually had a phone, Amazon Fire Phone, many years ago that was basically a failure. It was not something that Amazon was really good at doing, but the experiences from that evolved into things like our Echo Alexa app and our Echo series devices and our Fire TV and our Fire TV stick. So we learned from that. So we had a failure, we underestimated the market. We didn't really underestimate how we were going to play in the Android market and such. And then we came out with our learnings from that. And we have the Kindle, which is based on Android. And we have a lot of things around that we developed in the years afterwards. So you can take chances. It's important to learn from it. And if you take a chance and you fail, it's also very important to own that. Don't stand up for what you say. If you have the right intentions, sometimes I'm not saying to take every chance and every risk possible, but at the same time, make sure that they're educated risks, that you understand what the outcome is supposed to be, and they make sense to the organization that you're working for, that those are outcomes that you want to achieve as part of your goals. So, but don't be afraid to take those chances. And if you work for a culture that is penalizing you or makes it too risky to take a chance, you might want to consider other cultures, because there are many wonderful companies these days that really about try and experiment and find the best way to do something, because there's many ways to do things and no one knows every answer. That's why we always continue to learn, and we continue to learn and be curious and such, so we grow. And even from this discussion today, I will learn some things. If I talk to people about what their thoughts were, I will learn some things I can maybe incorporate down the road and such. So these are things you want to keep in mind. So I say don't be afraid to fail. It means speak up. Don't be shy. Don't wait for direction. Take initiative. If you see something that could benefit the organization and it's within your goals or the project you're on, take a chance, bring it up. The worst thing you could do is bring it up to your manager or your team lead, and they can say, no, we don't want to do that. But if you're able to at least can propose it, it's a start, right? Don't be afraid to take a chance like that. Okay. Another thing that's very important is you want to have fun, and you want to have fun in a way that is a positive experience. So this can be many different things with cultures of organizations, and every company has their own way of doing things. And I work with many startups in the US that we would have activities, and we would have like after hours drinks and stuff, those kind of things. In our office in AWS here in Manila, we actually are, and actually in BGC, we have a band room. We used to have a music room, so we actually had an AWS band that we would jam sometimes together and such. And so we do things like that to have fun. It's not all about work. You're not going to work 20 hours a day, 7 days a week. You want to have a balance. So this is really important. About you want to maintain a balance of doing your job, doing it well, being passionate about your job, making sure you continue to learn, and you don't be afraid to take some chances. At the same time, reward yourself and enjoy. And if you are a leader and you're listening to this presentation, also have ways to encourage a culture of having fun. I'm not saying like be careless and free, but at the same time, don't make it like a 9 to 5 constant put your head down into the computer and never look up type of a culture either. You want to have a balance, because you will burn out quickly if all you do is just work and never have opportunity to have some camaraderie or bonding with your coworkers, your teammates and such. Then it becomes a place where you really start to lose your passion. Your passion will start to drop, and your spark will go out. Okay, so you want to maintain this. You got to keep your sanity, and this is actually even more important now with this pandemic and the lockdowns and everybody working from home. It's really important that you figure out a way to do things to have fun. So like on my team, our solution architect team in AWS, we'll do game nights where we'll have like we'll pick some kind of maybe Call of Duty or something, and we'll get onto a server and we'll all just trash talk each other and try to have a little bit of a challenging there and experience. And our manager orders food for us, and we just spend, and we do this. We don't do this like at 8 p.m. We do this like at 3 p.m. on a Friday, and we do it part of our day. We take some time off, right? It lets you let your mind reset, but also let you bond. And with virtual meetings and working from home, this is even more important now than ever, because it's really easy to feel isolated. It's really easy to feel like you're just trapped in where you work and where you sleep, and you need to have something beyond that. Okay, we have coworkers that I ride bikes with, right? So yeah, trash talk is right. We do that with Call of Duty, so it's always fun. Okay, so just want to emphasize that, because it's very important that you want to have a culture. Again, a lot of these things I'm talking about are for your development, but also understand too that you want to make sure that you as a person, who you are as an individual, can also fit into the culture of the organization, and the organization has a culture that you really believe in. Okay, very important as well. All that ties together. And of course, you need to be the master. You want to be master of your career, master of your fate, master of what you do, right? So this all ties back. If you really look into all the previous slides, those are all little pieces of becoming the master, because master is more than just master has the passion attached to it. You have a spark with it. You dive deep when you become an expert in what you're doing. You take chances. Masters take chances. They're not so rigid, and they never step out of their box. They never are afraid to try something different, a different perspective, right? And of course, you want to have fun. So you want to make sure you, as part of your journey, you own it, but you're also the master of what you own, because no one else is going to really take your career and build it for you. You can exist in a technology position. You can exist as a solution architect or any other technology role and exist and get along and survive, but you're not going to thrive. We want you to thrive, right? Thriving is very important. You want to be able to really give all that you can give, but also get back what you can get back. And I'm not just talking about salary. I'm talking about everything, because you have a long career in front of you. If you're going to be technology for 25, 30, 35 years, it's going to be easy to burn out. So you want to make sure you really focus on yourself, but also what you bring to the organization and what they bring to you as well. Okay. So I just wanted to kind of just summarize how all that plays together. And then the next thing is to make it happen, right? What are you going to do? What's your first step? Maybe you already are on this path and didn't even realize it. Maybe you're already on this journey, but if you haven't just started this journey, figure out where you want to be. What's your destination? I remember when I was many years ago, when I was interviewing for jobs a long time ago, one of the questions always was, where would you see yourself in 5 years? And I used to hate that question. It's like, oh, well, I don't know. I have no idea about tomorrow, about 5 years from now. But I realized that it's not really about where you want to be in that particular company or that job or that role, but it's where you want to be as a person, right? Where you're driving. So for me, as I mentioned, as we know already, I'm kind of old. So I'm looking to retirement down the road. Maybe in the next 5 or 6 years, I will retire. It's actually why I moved here to the Philippines with my wife and my family, because she's Filipino, and we have our house and our lot and stuff we're building, and this is where we're going to settle. And so I'm already looking to my next step in my journey. Is for me is, what do I do after I leave technology space? What's my next dream, my next passion, right? I'm still discovering that. But you never stop you always can start, and you never stop moving forward, right? The minute you stop going forward is the minute everything starts to fall apart. So progress, but at your own pace, and to get to where you want to go. So define where you want to be. And once you've done that, then you start looking around this, how did you get there? How do you make this happen? What are the things you need to do to get this started? Are you happy with where you are working for? Are you happy with your current level of career? Are you ready for something different? Are you ready for a new challenge? Some statistics have been, at least in the US when I was there before I came here, was a typical technology person would change their job within, on an average of 18 months or even less these days. So you may change companies or even change roles in 18 months or less. Now, I've been an SA role in our solution architect role in AWS for 6 years. And it's actually a long time to be an SA, but I've been a manager, I've been a director for a long time, many years of my journey, that I realized it's not where I want to be anymore necessarily. The right opportunity comes along and I have a right team, then maybe I consider that again. But for me right now, I really enjoy just working with technology and my customers and helping them solve their problems. That's what I really enjoy doing. And I also have opportunity to give back by doing things like this for the community. So these things are my passion. But when you do this, figure out what's your passion going to be, where's you going to get there, and then how do you get it started? What are your next steps going to be, right? So your journey. Now, if you're not on LinkedIn, for example, that's a great service to get involved and build your network, because building a network goes back to building your brand. You want to build it so people will know you in the industry. I remember when I was I was working in San Diego for many years in my career, and the system administrator, this is before solution architects were around, the system administrator community was very small. It was surprising how many people I knew in different companies, and it's surprising how often when I changed a company, I would actually know people there who've also changed and joined or left, wherever else. It's like the community is remarkably small, and so it's a great thing to build your network and build your brand around that, and what helps you, what makes you, right? And that's where, and I'm not saying like you need to write a book or code the latest cool app. I'm saying there are things you build as a character that are important for your brand, right? And then focus on your spark. What's your passion? Do you love coding? Do you love spending 20 hours straight through at a night writing a new app? Or do you love tinkering with server hardware? Or do you, do you enjoy, playing games? Those kind of things. All these things you can do and incorporate those in your passion. So if you enjoy playing games, maybe you work for a gaming company to help write one, because maybe it's gonna be a different experience for you. Who knows, right? But those are things that you need to think about for your thing. So a little back before I actually conclude this was that when I was working my last job before AWS, I was an infrastructure architect, and I became the cloud solution architect for that company because we migrated into AWS. And interestingly enough, AWS reached out to me and recruited me for my role that I'm currently in now. So I've been here for 6 years, but I wasn't really looking for a job back then, but because I kind of built a brand, and I had a strong network of individuals that someone I knew worked for AWS, and they thought that my skills and who I was a good fit for the organization. And to get to the final part of this, interviewing into an organization such as AWS can be a little intimidating. It can be challenging. It can be daunting, so to say. Be prepared, be yourself, and figure out ways that you as an individual, what you bring and how you can bring more of yourself, and align to the organization. When you're interviewing for any role in any company, learn about the company. What do they, why do they exist? What is their passion as a company? And see how that fits in there, right? Do your research, build your network, talk to people you know that that maybe in that company you're looking into or have been there before. Get ideas, really research as well, because these are all important for you to as part of your journey, right? You can stepstone through different things, but you know, sometimes you may hit a landmine and you may have an area where you have to backtrack and go somewhere another direction. When I came to the Philippines, I had no network. I now have probably 300 people in the Philippines who I've worked with, interacted with through my last 3 years, including coworkers and technology individuals that I've met and worked with in various social events, as well as through my engaging with my customers. So I have a network I've been building up there. Plus, I still have my old network in the US, and that never goes away. So those are all things to do to make it happen. Okay, so it's your time now to take this and move forward. And so this wasn't a technology presentation. There's no technology behind this. This is all about you, and what you do with what your skills, and what you do with how you approach your journey and your philosophy, and how you adopt culture in a company, those kind of things. Okay, so this is hopefully this was useful for you. And I like that someone put the minutes down, the high level topics. That's great. I really appreciate that so much, because yes, these are things that you'll see that you can reflect back on. And and these are my learnings through my career, and I've talked to other coworkers and other people on networks, and it's similar as well. They really they all had kind of similar journeys. We all get to different destinations, but along the way we kind of encounter some of the same challenges. So hopefully this can help you and let you give everything you can and give back to the community and be successful and as you need to be for whatever you want to do. Okay. So that's all I have for this. So I appreciate your listening to this. I'm open to questions. I have a lot of career experience. If you'd like to talk about that, anything you want to talk about is fine. Whoops, my advanced too much again. Sorry about that. Okay. So do we have any questions? How did I meet my wife and why Philippines retire? Oh, okay. Personal questions. Okay, great. So I met my wife. She was working as OFW in Dubai. So met her and we got married. She came to the US. We had children and I have a small family. This is a little personal for me, but I have really a small family. So for me, growing up, I was the only child, and I now have 2 sons here with my wife, and I wanted to have a big family. I think big family is very, very important. And culturally, what I learned from my wife through how she was, and as I get to know her and stuff, that her family is really important to her and really big, and all the titos and titas and everything, and the lolas and lolos. It's like everything is so much, and I really wanted my children to know that. So that's the primary reason why we decided to relocate here. It was a great place to retire, but also a great place to raise a family with a culture that I really, really appreciate. I love Filipino culture. I think you guys have an amazing country, and there's so many amazing people here. And every day I so much more appreciate that. Okay, so that's how I did that. Okay, what are some do's and don'ts of an SA? SA as an admin or SA as a solution architect? I'll take probably as architect. Okay, great. So do's and don'ts. So one thing is don't. We have a principle in AWS called are right a lot. You are right a lot, and you want to make sure when you're working with customers and you're working on solutions that you don't guide them in an incorrect direction. So I encounter many times customers where they may have an implementation or technology that I'm not familiar with. they ask me for how to do something, I will have to come back to them and say, I'm sorry, I don't know this right now. Let me research this for you and get back with you. So I don't ever give them information that's incorrect from that conversation. Don't be afraid to come back and say, let me learn figures out for you. Let me figure out ways it can work for you on that. So it's fine to be that versus saying something where you're not quite exactly 100% on, and you don't want to really misguide them too much. Okay, that's probably the biggest don't you have. One do you have is obviously to look at the customer and try to understand their situation. What drove them to their choices? What drove them to their technology debt that they're currently in and they want to change out of? Or why are they shift to AWS if they're going to go there? What are the reasons? Learn the motivations behind that. Learn how the organization operates as well. Those are some great things to do as an SA. So along the lines here, so I'll tie a few questions together. So shifting career to SA and the demand. So let me tell you right now, the demand for solution architects is really, really high, and it's going to continue to increase because solution architects really are. I wouldn't say they're actually I would say they're higher. They're a broader level of a system admin or a network admin. You really need to know the technology stack from end to end. I work with application layers. I work with infrastructure layers. I work with network layers. I need to be able to help my customers understand how to make it all work in the best way for their success, right? I care about their success. So I need to have a broad understanding of different stacks and different approaches and stuff. So the first step is, so the demand is high. Having resources that can do that within companies, it's high. And you're going to find that some companies want to go with Microsoft, or some go with Google, or some go with AWS. They're going to have specializations. But in general, cloud architect skills are still going to be more or less attributable across all different cloud providers. Same concepts at the high level are there. It's just how you implement them are different, kind of like syntax in different languages. The concepts of a language are all kind of similar, but how you actually implement a programming language, Python versus PHP versus Node.js, those are all going to be different, but the syntax is what drives it differently, right? So how do you get started in this? Well, try to shift your mind from a traditional infrastructure approach where you think about servers and infrastructure and you focus on that. Try to think of a broader approach where you look at the entire stack, the stack being the infrastructure all the way to the application, all the way to the end user or customer, end-to-end view of that. So you start to approach that, then learn about skills that can help you with that. So if you're going to focus on AWS, get familiar with AWS services. We have many training programs, and I'm sure Edukasyon will also can talk about this as well. We have many programs that can get you some basic cloud skills. Dive into that, right? Go to events, meetups, build your network. That's a great way to shift your career into as a solution architect. Okay, but the demand is huge, and it's going to continue growing over and over again. We have a number of positions in AWS that we're looking to hire all the time. So as we have growth, our customers are growing like crazy. So it's very, very important. Okay, so I think another question I want to talk about is how important are communication soft skills for an SA. So I think this is actually underrated, and I think this is why I have a talk like this. I think these are very, very important because when I am in SA role, work with my customers, I can be talking to technology implementators, like a tech admin or a sysadmin or network admin, all the way up to a CIO. And I need to be able to communicate all levels of the organization, depending on who's on that call, which I may not know all the time, who's going to be on the call ahead of time. So I need to be able to talk and be able to explain things at various levels, at a 3,000-foot level for maybe for more of a senior management who doesn't really care about the details, all the way down to the detail level where it matters for a network admin or systems admin, right? So you got to be able to speak all that. And so the soft skills are very important. Business acumen, which is basically understanding the organization, is very important. Understanding how that company operates, how they work, how they think. What does the CIO? What is CIO's approach to technology? Are they cloud friendly? Are they cloud resistant? Those kind of things matter. So these communication soft skills are very, very important to help you relate and to interact and to earn the trust. You want to earn the trust of of your customers and your peers that you're working with, and that's very, very important. So I think these soft skills are crucial for success in the long term. Is there a learning curve to be steep if you shift from network admin to solution architect? Not really. So let me kind of explain that. Conceptually, network admin in the cloud and on-premises environment is more or less the same. You have subnets, you have routing, you have CIDR addresses, you have IP addresses, you have things like BGP for route shifts and those kind of things. Those are high-level concepts remain. But how you implement them are different. Like you won't be sitting there on a router in AWS configuring your VLANs, right? Or your network switch. You won't be doing that on that level. You won't be plugging in cables. It's all software defined in AWS, but the concepts are there. You'll define your subnets, which would be more or less kind of like VLANs, and you'll define your virtual gateways to the internet, or maybe a NAT gateway for one-way direction. So the concepts are there. They're very similar, but how you do things are different. Remember I mentioned before, the high level approach is the same across providers and across technology domains, but the implementation, the syntax is different. So how you configure a router for a Cisco router will be different than how you build your VPC in AWS, but the concepts are very similar. Okay, so have you seen myself before being a professional into this field? So yes and no. I didn't expect to work for AWS, but for me, as I moved into my career, I wanted to become a contributor, but I didn't want to manage people. And the way for me to do that was to help guide the organization through architecture, right? So I became the cloud architect for my company because we were moving AWS, but I didn't expect to actually work AWS. It wasn't my goal, but it worked out for me that it did. But so I really didn't take any steps other than my natural progression, driving my passion, driving my, continuing my deep dives, figuring out where I wanted to be, what I liked, what I didn't like. I didn't want to manage back then anymore, because it's like I got burned out of doing that. I was managing many big teams, and I wanted a little less pressure and less stress, and I had too many 2 a.m. phone calls. I didn't want those anymore. So that's how I evolved into this. But my journey was path from SA to a broader path to including network skills, including security skills, and then managing those teams, thinking about the solutions at architecture level, infrastructure level, and then expanding to the end-to-end, where I include the application levels as well. So what are some must-have skills to be a highly effective solutions architect? Must-have skills. I kind of covered a few here. Learn and be curious. Deep dive. So you really want to learn and learn and learn. You want to understand. You want to have good communication skills, good business acumen, but technology-wise, learn what you can, as much as you can. Find out where in technology you want to go. There's a broad set of things you can cover as an SA. For example, in AWS, we have specialist SAs who focus on certain domains like machine learning or data analytics or databases. They're an SA, but they're focused on just those smaller domains, but they go very, very deep into those domains. Me, I'm more of a generalist with a lot of background in some depth areas, but I kind of cover a broad set of services. And we have over 200 services at AWS. So you have a wide choice of things that might interest you that you can get into. Okay. Let's see. Someone asked me, do I speak and understand Tagalog? So I understand probably more than I admit, but I do not speak it very well. When I work with my business customers, most of the times those conversations are in English, especially with larger customers. Smaller SMB customers, sometimes there's a mix, but usually my account manager I work with, they can help me understand what goes on, but I get the general idea. English is still going to be very important, particularly if you're going to broaden outside of Philippines, if you're ever going to branch out and go to different companies, a lot of companies have offices around the ASEAN region, maybe Singapore or Hong Kong, or they're multinational and they have, headquarters in different countries like US or Europe. So having English is very important. And real question here is struggling with CVEs. I'm not sure what the CVEs are in this context. Does this mean like learning credits, or maybe you can clarify that for me? I'm not quite sure I understand what that is. And yes, TCP/IP will always be TCP/IP unless we do V6, IPv6, and maybe we might change it. Oh, common vulnerabilities. Oh, okay, so more security stuff. So CVEs in that regard. So I had opportunity. Hopefully I don't go too long. I have a few minutes left here, but a story that I have in my career early on. When I was working, I got involved a long time ago into the intrusion detection domain and security, because that's kind of my passion. And so I was a second. We had an exam, a certification as a intrusion. It was a long time ago. It's back in 1999 and such. I forgot what it's even called now. I have to look at my resume to tell you what it was, but so long ago. But I was on a second course that taught about how to do packet analysis and pull the packet apart and try to find an intrusion detection that way, right? So those were skills that are very different then than they are now. And actually back then they were very specialized. We only had, like, at the time I got certified, I was like one of 300 people around the world because it was brand new. And now there's like millions, right? Because it grows that way. Same with my CISSP, which was my security certification for another well-regarded security. I was number 25,000 back when I certified, and this was back in 2003. Now it's probably up to a couple million, right? Those are credentials, but realistically, managing CVEs in terms of it comes down to two aspects: the technology side, how to close those vulnerabilities, what you can do to address those and prevent those, but also how you manage the risk. Some CVEs are low risk and some are high risk. Do you have the visibility? Do you understand what they are and how they apply to your architecture and your organization? Those are the broader, higher level things that really matter, particularly in security these days, because it's so easy to say, I have a firewall in place, I can block these ports, but do you understand what that means in the context of the application from end to end? I keep saying this, as a switch architect, you want to be able to understand the entire stack, the beginning of the stack infrastructure level, all the way up to the application and to the end user, the customer. What is their experience going to be? Okay, so CVEs just follows along. You have tools you can use to help you manage those and mitigate those. Hopefully your job is evolving beyond just closing patches, but also reviewing and assessing the risk. Is this a CVE? It's a risk to the organization, right? And the last thing was roles for cloud architecture in AWS. SA role and a cloud infrastructure role in AWS. Actually, I don't know the answer to that question because I don't know the difference. We have many names for the same job. So it depends on what organization you work for, whether you work for pro services or work for a specialist role or a different group. So that may be the same thing, but different organization inside AWS. Okay. So I love these questions. Thank you. I really hope that this talk gave you an opportunity to think about how you can plan out your career. And thank you for giving me all your time. I took up the whole hour, so appreciate everything. And I love doing this. And if you ever need to reach out to me, I'm on LinkedIn. Also, you can email me as well. And I'm happy to have further conversations. So it's always a pleasure talking with you. And I love to see all of you continue to grow and be leaders in your areas, in your companies, in your field. So great. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you very much. That's very insightful, and for sure everybody learned a lot, right? So there are still questions that we haven't accommodated, but guys, feel free to join our Facebook group for the AWS UG user groups for the Philippines. I'm copy pasting here the link to the group, and you can post your questions, anything related to AWS there, and we can tag the speaker And anyone on our community leads can also answer that. So thank you, everyone. And guys, we are delighted to announce our exciting upcoming events this month. We have a lot of events lined up already for the month of January and February. So our next episode would be the recap of the reInvent conference that just happened recently last December. So this would be quite a longer meetup than usual because we are doing this with AWS UG.ph user groups from 6 to 8 p.m. on Thursday. Ayan. So if you haven't registered yet, this is the link to our event so that we make sure that you have an access to our Zoom room.
I'm one of the
So
speakers
there
for
you
that
go.
too, by the way. So
Oh yes, yeah, Paul's here. So be one of the speakers and also Damsel Navarro. So
Yeah.
you'll meet a lot of AWS UGPH community leads as well. So don't miss that one, guys. That will be our episode for the Community Ignite series on January 20. And another exciting event is coming up for all developers and aspiring ones. We are bringing a free coding bootcamp, yay, on January 20 and 21 in partnership with Zuit Coding Bootcamp. This will be a code along workshop teaching React.js and AWS for free. Yes, so if you want to join, you can register here. I'm pasting again the link. Yan. So who can join this coding bootcamp? So everyone that have a basic HTML, CSS, and JavaScript knowledge. Someone was previous free coding bootcamp participants, they can join, and those who have obtained basic HTML, CSS, and Bootstrap knowledge from Zuit's Fast Free Coding Bootcamp events can also join. And yes, of course, we have here the list of our upcoming events. Yes, our screen is getting ready. There you go. So for the Zuit Bootcamp, it will be on 20 and 21. And then we have another meetup with Pinoy Linux. Yeah, and then on 27th January, we have an AWS Builders meetup. And for those who want to learn more about open source, we have a meetup on January 29th and also the one with .NET. Oh, no, sorry, with Mozilla PH. It's getting started with WebAssembly. So there you go, ang daming events, no? Hakot naman tayo ng certificate. And yes, speaking of e-certificate, of course, we'll be giving e-certificate for this event. Just don't forget to fill up our feedback form. Let me paste the link. To answer our CSAT form, just go here or just scan our QR code on the screen. Yes, we totally appreciate your feedback. So thank you to our co-presenters again, AWS Web Services and AWS Cloud Filipinas. And of course, thank you everyone. Thank you, Paul. Thank you all for joining us tonight. And before we end the session, let me take this opportunity for our group photo. Just 5 seconds, guys. If you wanna show your face to the camera, you feel free to open your camera for the photo op. Everyone. All right. Awesome. Okay. Please give me 5 seconds to do this. We have 5 pages. Wow. Thank you, everyone. We have 113 people in the room. So we have 5 pages. So be patient, guys. All right. Give me 1 second. Page 1, smile. There you go. Page 2. 3 seconds. Oops. Smile. Okay. Third one. Smile. Fourth. Smile. And the last page. Oh, ang dami. There you go. Smile. All right, thank you very much. At dyan po nagtatapos ang ating Community Ignite Series episode 23. Be safe, everyone. Have a good night and see you all next week. Bye!
The power of the AWS cloud is within your grasp.
That's why we have chosen the AWS Essentials trainings to bring everyone on the same level of knowledge. So when we're talking about cloud, everyone has a basic understanding what is meant.
Whether you are just starting out or looking for ways to scale and speed up your success, you have a need for cloud skills. AWS Training and Certification has solutions for AWS customers and AWS partners, as well as the next generation of builders and leaders. Developed by the experts at AWS, our training resources help you advance in your career, building cloud skills on your team to innovate and achieve business goals.
We made sure to provide all types of training because, as you know, not all adult learners learn the same way. Some learners prefer instructor-led training, while others prefer self-paced.
No matter your role, we can help you gain in-demand cloud skills, both introductory and advanced, and validate your expertise with an AWS certification.
Preparing for the exam really reminded me the fun and enjoyment there is when it comes to education and self-learning.
Whether you're developing a new application or growing a business, AWS Training and Certification helps the builders of today and tomorrow leverage the power of the AWS cloud.